Well, if I may give some of the backstory, during the time that the concept of the Air Mobile Division was being tested at Fort Benning in the mid-60s, if you're familiar at all with Mel Gibson's movie We Were Soldiers, based upon General Hal Moore's excellent book, We Were Soldiers Once and Young, while they were testing that air mobility concept, air mobile infantry, there was also the test of the air cavalry. And the man who was commanding the squadron at the time was a man by the name of John Stockton. And he was trying to instill into his helicopter pilots this concept of the cavalry, of you have to be bolder, you have to take more chances, break the rules, get out there, that kind of stuff. For instance, he encouraged the growing of mustaches, which wasn't a thing in the Army at the time. I mean, swooping handlebar kind of things. And somebody suggested the idea of wearing the cavalry hat. Well, there was no cavalry hat available. So as the story goes, somebody got a drill sergeant's hat, campaign hat, the brown thing with the peak on the top. And they creased it differently, and they dyed it black. And that was the first one. Then all of a sudden it became a thing. And so guys were getting these black Stetson hats. By the time I arrived in the squadron, it was authorized, not authorized. I managed to get my hands on one. It was way too big, so I stuffed the sweatband with newspaper because I was going to wear that Stetson hat. But it has meaning for those who can read the rings on the tree. So this one is a Stetson brand, which I think is appropriate because I went to Stetson University, named after the man who made the hats. Okay, so first of all, you can look at the cords and you can get an idea of the person you're dealing with. So an enlisted man's cords are branch color. For the cavalry, that would be yellow. For the infantry, it would be blue. For the artillery, it's red, so forth. For a warrant officer, these cords are silver and black. For a commissioned officer, the gold and black, as you see here on this one. For a general officer, it's all gold. So you can get a glance and you have some idea of who you're dealing with. My rank is here. This is the regiment that I served with in Vietnam, the 9th Cavalry, the Air Cav. Now, if you look in YouTube or images online of the active Army these days, anybody that it says cavalry after the unit designation, they're wearing the black hats. Even the infantry. Okay, if you think they're good enough to be cavalry, you go for it. And on the back, these are the regimental crests of the 2 regiments of cavalry that I served with in Vietnam. This is the 9th Cavalry, and this is the 10th Cavalry. Interestingly enough, post-Civil War, the Army needed more regiments of cavalry. So they created the 7th and the 8th, which were white soldiers, many Irish immigrants in there, hence Custer, Garrio, and that kind of thing. And 2 regiments of cavalry made up of black soldiers with white officers. They were the 9th Cavalry and the 10th Cavalry, and they were known as the Buffalo Soldiers. Now, some say the nickname came about because the indigenous tribes saw the curly hair on the black African men and equated it favorably to the curly hair on the head of bison, buffaloes, and called them the Buffalo Soldiers. Others say it's because of the buffalo hide coats that they had to wear for campaigning in the winter. At any rate, these 2 regiments are known as the Buffalo Soldiers, and I served in each of those regiments in Vietnam. I've also served in the 1st Regiment of Cavalry, called the Blackhawks, which started off as dragoons back in the 1830s. The 2nd Regiment, which was in Germany. The 6th Regiment in the States, known as the Unicorns. Or if you're an irreverent soldier, it's a gold unicorn on a blue background, and we call it the Horny Horse. And the 14th Regiment when I was in Germany. So those are the cavalry regiments I've been in, and the story of the black hat.